Um, I'm super excited to host all of you, all the campuses. I'll go ahead and give Ben and his team to introduce themselves and what they do to support this role, and I'll pin you all for the minute.
Great. Hello, everyone. I am Ben Gamache. I'm with the Department of Healthcare Access and Information. Oh, I'm seeing my face nice and lovely on the screen now. I'm in the Office of Health Workforce Development, specifically in the policy section. And I've been the lead policy analyst working on the design, development, and implementation of the certified wellness coach profession since 2022. So I'm coming up on my 3.5 year mark, which is absolutely wild. This was a project that came from the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative, which was part of the governor's master plan for transforming the mental health of children and youth. And HCAI was specifically tasked with building out this new profession. And HCAI has been involved in workforce development for quite a while. There's a lot of different activities we do within that space, from loan repayments, scholarships, building out more education capacity and expansion, just a lot of things that have really supported our current health workforce, not just in behavioral health. There's also aspects of primary care, nursing, midwifery, et cetera. But this new part of the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative was new for us. We've never actually built out a profession. So part of this work was really trying to standardize what certification means, what the competencies of a certified wellness coach mean, because we understand the term wellness coach exists elsewhere, right? It means a variety of things. And also that this role that is not called necessarily wellness coach in other organizations and employer types does exist. So really what this is trying to do is create clarity that when we say the California Certified Wellness Coach, that it means something very specific. So you are part of that wonderful work that is here to help us standardize the competencies, the training, so that we have a supply of competent and skilled CWCs that can enter into our workforce and support the very much needed behavioral health needs of our children and youth. So again, so grateful that I think I've communicated with many of you at some way, shape, or form. You've probably had emails from me, but really grateful that you can, see us in person. And just know that I'm also very grateful that you see some pinned faces here that are here to support you. And also we have the wonderful support of the Chancellor's Office and Jennifer, or Dr. Garhart, who's really diving into this work to connect with y'all, to figure out what are the needs, how can we really work towards creating this designated program and really set you aside as these preferred partner programs that HCAI recognizes is exactly doing what that outcome is we're trying to achieve of that supply of competent and skilled CWCs. So again, I just really wanted to express my gratitude. Again, your understanding and grace and patience, because as I mentioned, this is new for HCAI, so we're learning along with you. And just again, super excited that we're all here to connect today, and that there's going to be many more connection points in the near future. So thank you for letting me kind of have my little bit of spiel, a little bit of context and background. And again, we are here to support you because HCAI really sees this partnership with our CSU system as so instrumental in ensuring the success of this program and of the folks who want to support our children and youth. So with that, I'm going to pass over to Chris, who can introduce himself, and then we can have the rest of the team.
Afternoon, Ben. It's hard to follow that. That was perfect. But good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Polakaitis. I am the project manager for the Certified Wellness Coaches. Again, thank you for being here and being a part of this. It means a lot, and it means a lot to the children and youth of California. Thank you. I'm going to pass it over to Allison.
Oh, am I unmuted? Yes. Hello, everyone. So wonderful to meet you all. I am supporting the HCAI team in helping oversee a lot of these relationships with the schools. I'm work very closely with Ben. I'm kind of at his hip and working step in step. And so we're very thankful to have you. I used to be a high school AP chemistry teacher, so a lot of the work of this project deeply impacts me and frames a lot of the experiences I had with my students in the classroom. So yeah, really honored to be here with this wonderful team and group of passionate individuals ready to serve our youth. And now, not last but not least, Irene.
Thank you, Allison. So nice to meet you all. I'm super excited for many, many reasons. I am a LCSW by profession. I still have a small mental health practice, but I was really working directly as a medical social worker since about 2015 when I joined the County Office of Ed in their ROP program, really doing health workforce development with K through 12s and also community colleges. But since then, my passion for behavioral health workforce development has really grown, and I've become now self-employed doing this work. So I'm a contractor with HCAI, really here to support you all in, the designation process as you all are working through your curriculum. I also was a site coordinator for Cal State Long Beach, which is my alma mater. So again, just excited to be here, just to be part of this process with you all. Again, a lone wolf talking about, hey, we need to talk about behavioral health workforce development. We need to be talking about it at undergraduate level. And so it's really exciting to see all the momentum and excitement throughout the community colleges and universities and just the, the community at large. So again, excited to be here with you all.
Wonderful. And Dr. Carhart, before we pass it back to you, just wanted to flag for everybody that Allison, correct me if I'm wrong, you and I will be hopping off, but I believe Chris and Irene will be able to stay on, just so, we've got the HCAI perspective. And we're going to do as much as we can, of course, collaborating with Dr. Carhart on all of these, where we can step in, where if there's things that we need more perspective on the profession, more information from HCAI, we're going to do whatever we can to make ourselves available so that you all have consistent information sent to you. And then, of course, the Chancellor's Office is, really leading the charge in being that point connection for you. And, I know that there's many future communities of practice that have been scheduled. So there's a lot of future opportunities to meet. So as much as it pains me to have to hop off early, we're really excited to continue to connect with you and just so excited again that we can be here to provide this team and also learn from you all. I learned something about this every single day that, man, I wish I'd known 5 years ago, 3 years ago, but that's just how it goes. So with that, I'll pass it back to you, Dr. Carhart, and we look forward to connecting with you more. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Ben. Have a good one. And then, alrighty, everyone. All right, thank you everyone for that moment with HCAI. I don't think Raymond will make it for today, but he is with the Chancellor's Office. Let me share my screen. I'll pin myself. All right, everyone. So I really want to welcome all of you to our first CSU Wellness Education Collaborative, which will be our community of practice. Again, Dr. Jennifer Carhart, I'm the CSU System-wide Mental Health and Behavioral Health Professions Education Faculty Coordinator, super long title. Today really marks the launch of our system-wide effort to really strengthen and how we implement the Certified Wellness Coach 2 programs across our campuses. I truly am grateful for all of you. I've had the privilege of meeting with all of the campuses so far, and it's really exciting to meet such colleagues that are helpers by trade and I think just by morals and values. So I really want to take the time to thank all of you for being here and dedicating this time to represent your campus. Your presence definitely ensures that we're not just building programs in isolation, but we're also part of the CSU system-wide movement. I want to highlight what this purpose of the communities of practice were. When I was approached to be part of this initiative, it is system-wide. I'm excited to work with all campuses, serve all the students. And as I would dove into it more and what the purpose of my role is here, I was excited to really see how this can be a collaboration. The purpose of how I kind of structured these communities of practice is really with threefold. The first is really to create a peer collaboration where we're able to share from our learning among each other from our campuses as we're developing and implementing this certified wellness certification into our campuses. The second prong was to really identify the program needs that really inform us how we can structure these communities of practice, and that how can we kind of create these types of spaces of learning, spaces of sharing resources and stuff. And the last part really is my role in this piece is really to provide a lot of what the Chancellor's Office named, or HCAI also named it, as technical assistance. My role is really to coordinate a lot of these communities of practice, really help you all how to implement a lot of these programs into your campuses, and also do a lot of the outreach with the other campuses that we have yet to partner with and further designate. So again, our expectation really is that we hope that you all can make it to these communities of practice, but recognizing that a lot of you are teaching undergrad, it's really difficult to really have one time that's best for everyone. So this is why also the session is being recorded. Throughout the next few months, you'll see emails from me trying to set up time for us to meet. In our Google link, we have shared our availability and everything. Give me 1 minute. My neighbor decided to clean their yard. 1 second.
You're still muted.
So again, this is me. My home institution is Cal State San Bernardino. I am in the Inland Empire, but if ever you're in the Riverside or Orange County or Southern California, I'd love to connect with all of you in person. Something about being in community in person is different. So if I wanted to also dive into, if we can all take a moment to rename ourselves on our Zoom and see what the representation across the campus is. You can do that with clicking on the 3 little dots on your picture, and then a drop down comes up and there is a rename option. You can keep your full name. I think it gives you about like 12 characters. So I also encourage that you utilize your acronyms that you wish to add, your like PhD, LCSW. We have experts in the room, so I want to recognize your profession and your expertise. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So I wanted to take a moment to share with you all the campuses that are currently receiving the funds to implement this initiative. So far, we have 13 out of the 22 campuses. And I also aim to add the campuses that have satellite campuses as well. Humboldt, I believe, Humboldt and Chico have a lot of more online programs. So they actually serve a lot of our state. And we'll walk through a lot of our campuses throughout the next collaboratives as well, and what they're all doing. Before we really, I wanted to take a moment to really highlight the workforce currently, before kind of giving you all a national view of what the workforce looks like. As I've shared in the past, my expertise is career counseling, my counseling background as well. But one of the areas of my research is definitely looking into the health workforce, specifically in healthcare. So the state of California, the state of behavioral health care workforce really highlights 5 key points in this federal report. And again, you will all have this PowerPoint, so you all have the links and everything. The first point is that substantial shortages are across all healthcare workforce professions. That is even from the low-ranking positions of like psychiatric therapists to those that need a terminal degree or even professional schools such as medical school. According to this report, we're facing a projected shortage of nearly aiming in about approximately in 2037, and a dire need to further expand. Across the nation, we have health profession shortage areas. Many of your campuses are in rural areas or in areas that are not urban. And many of those areas have mental health professional shortages across the nation, but also in California. California is a big state. We do have tremendous shortages. Rural counties are hit the hardest in these professions. These communities often lack specialized providers altogether. So that also follows trickling with primary care doctors that end up being also de facto mental health providers. While they do incredible work, they are not always equipped to really handle the complexity of mental health or substance use needs. Representation is key. Our current workforce doesn't really reflect the diversity of the communities that we serve. The majority of our behavioral health providers identify as non-Hispanic, white, and female. This matters because the representation impacts the trust, accessibility, and the ability to really deliver culturally responsive care. I meant to put systemic barriers. Systemic barriers across the nation. This report highlights how there's even when we do have providers, other issues arise, such as the scope of practice differ across states, reimbursement challenges, and often burnout is quite a big contributing factor to turnover and early career exits, which really makes the shortages even worse. When we bring all this together, the bigger picture really is clear that the demand is growing, but supply is also shrinking. Inequities in access are really widening. This also started drawing in a question for me to think of, like, how are these workforce shortages really showing up in our region? How are you hearing this from our local employers or placement partners? So then I wanted to dive into more specifically, maybe how do we look at it in the national level, and then how do we look as California? According to HRSA does recognize counselors and social workers as part of the healthcare workforce. Not every agency identifies these two roles and part of the healthcare. But HRSA does have a database where you're able to play around with what roles are out there and how this impacts our state. Here, I wanted to highlight how the counselors are part of our certified wellness coaches. As we have encountered in many of our conversations, we've discussed how we have many sites that are school-based. Our counselors are the ones that are usually housed in a K-12 setting and that are required through the state of California to have a PPS credential that allows them to be in a counselor setting to serve our K-12 students. And so then when we think about our certified wellness coach programs, our graduates really will be entering a much broader healthcare workforce pipeline and then really making them part of a system-wide solution. This also then drew me to thinking about how social workers are continue to be a vital part of our healthcare workforce. They're highly essential, not only in the clinical roles, but they are also in community-based organizations, schooling settings. We're starting to see a lot of agencies and nonprofits that are popping up that are receiving referrals from their local districts to further support the communities. We know that the demand has always been there for social workers and it continues to rise, but this also creates natural opportunities for our CSU campuses and programs to really further collaborate with social workers, further collaborate with other disciplines such as social work, psychology, or any related fields. This started to really draw the question of like what partnerships already exist on our campuses with social work or psychology or allied health programs that really can further strengthen our implementation of certified wellness coaches. Bear with me, everyone. That's my researcher side of me. So then I started thinking about all the projections. Is there a workforce that's going to be out there for our students? And I think that's a question that continues to rise in many of our conversations during our working sessions. This slide really talks about the wide range of behavioral professions, addiction counselors, MFTs, psychologists, school psychologists. Every profession within behavioral health will be affected by these shortages, and that's why our work together creating a pipeline through the CSU is so vital and so important. We're not just filling one role, we're building pathways that can support an entire workforce system that require further graduate degrees or professional experience and training and licensures across our campus. With the growth of technology, I was looking even at compact licensures, how some states are trying to be licensed across the states. So now I wanted to draw our attention to more specifically our California, just California. What is that looking like for us? Well, more specifically looking at the distribution across health professions are really deeply uneven across our regions. Inland Empire and San Joaquin Valley, they are disproportionately fewer licensed professionals compared to the urban centers areas. Certain regions like San Diego or San Luis Obispo are well staffed in some specialties, but rural counties continue to be distributed. Several in the north or report no psychiatrist at all. This is a report from 2016, but even looking at the current force is still very similar. It has not drastically changed. This really highlights that the maldistribution really means that where a student lives often determines their access to the care. That's also another reason why our CSU's roles really spread across the state. It's really important. The ratios across the health professions per capita varies. The gaps are really stark. Some counties have among the highest ratios in the state, while others have virtually none. For example, Imperial County ranks in the lower quartile across nearly all professions, while San Diego sits in the highest for psychiatry and psychology. These disparities highlight the building workforce pipelines isn't just about increasing numbers overall, but it's just really distributing talent equitably across regions. Our CSU's geographic reach really allows us to design more programs that are both serve local and statewide needs. And really I started thinking about how might we start thinking about equity and workforce distribution, not just in training students, but really ensuring that they can serve the communities where they are most needed. So then I think about it as nationally and then state, and then who are we? Who are we as a campuses? Why the CSUs? So for every year, according to 2024, CSU conferred 101 plus bachelor's degrees and 21,000 master's degrees and overall 725 doctoral degrees. We're the largest producers of graduates in California. No other higher ed system, not even the CSU system in the state, comes close to the scale. This also means that we build a certified wellness coach that are programs that are well, and that we do have the reach to make the immediate and long-term impact for our behavioral healthcare workforce. Our graduates are in every community, every region, and every sector, from schools to clinics, from nonprofits to hospitals. This is our system-wide strength. This is how we also want to think about how do we see our campus contributing to the broader pipeline. How are there existing majors or degrees that could easily connect with the certified wellness pathways? So then I started thinking, what are the most common majors across our campuses, and that really align typically with a lot of what HCAI has aligned as competencies, and really thinking outside the box and seeing what are the campus's strongest majors that are out there that further align or best align with these competencies. So The most common and biggest major is psychology across all over 22 campuses. Psychology is the biggest major. If there are students that completely compacted major as well. Social work is the best one to be aligned with certified wellness coach, but it's also not they're not across the campuses either, or the programs are very small. So again, another advantage of the breadth of our programs across the CSU, really think about all these majors, even liberal studies, these fields really already, or other majors that already have emphasized individual wellness or communication, cultural responsiveness, human development. This means that we're not starting from scratch, but instead we need to think about how we can embed wellness coach pathways into existing programs that let our students really stack more credentials, or that they move through degrees. This is interdisciplinary alignment that gives our students to really multiple on-ramps or off-ramps, allow campuses to be flexible to adapt the certified wellness to their own strengths of their own campus, and really think about how our majors or our programs on our campus really feel like a natural fit for a certified wellness coach certificate, or are there places where alignment might be harder in our campuses? All right, everyone, I'm getting there. So again, then I thought to myself, well, this also gives us a roadmap to thinking about the future and how we embed our community colleges too. We, across the campuses, we have, we benefit also from our partner community colleges and our local community colleges. Thinking about the future and how we can also access our students that are coming from community colleges, we can also further support the workforce. This is kind of a brief visual to allow all of you to see kind of a model, how it's important to think about how the implementation of programs like this is important to further highlight how our students navigate into these professions and create their own milestones across their path. So with all of this in mind, all of the research that kind of highlights that there is a high need of this, I said, well, how will each campus implement this? And how is it helpful for us to create something that this collaborative could also be a part of in developing? Because I can't do this by myself. And this is why I lean to all of your expertise. That's how the development of these phases came. I sent you all an overview of what the phases look like, and really kind of brainstorming, thinking about how my experience in foundation and setting up of the experiences that I've had in the past, how is that important, especially my experience in working with student support services and a counseling setup. How does that look like, and now as a faculty thinking about, is our campus ready? What are the stakeholders that we already have? So that's how really these 5 foundation phases kind of were structured. Also in mind, thinking of the other 10 campuses that we have yet to reach. So again, that's the overview. So I want to take the time, I'm gonna unshare this right now. This is a collaborative. This is a space for all of us to have discussions. And then at the end, there will be a needs assessment survey that I hope that all your campuses are able to, and all your teams are able to submit. It's not one per campus. Anybody can submit, or all of your team members can submit. When I think about phase 1, I really think about how are these, what are the strategies that have already helped you to get to these leadership? Many of our campuses are already there. When I started, I know a lot of you have started a year ago. So what are some of those challenges? Not all of our campuses are where the campuses are in right now in the implementation phase, but we anticipate that all of this feedback would be helpful for all the other 10. So that's when I started thinking of what were the initial information that you all had shared when you shared this with HCAI, your interest and how you aligned your Form 1. And so what I did, I created a whole matrix for all the 13 campuses. I looked at the key components that HCAI was asking at that time of the form that you all submitted. And I said, well, what are the main gaps that we're seeing that there's a need? And even now, when I checked in with a lot of you, neurodivergence, substance disorder, and disability approaches continue to be the thematic conversations that I've had with a lot of you. This also shows that there is a need for development of curriculum, that there's quite a tremendous gap of expertise maybe, or that we need to think about how we are outsourcing, or we're also going to be the developing experts of this curriculum. And then it drew me to think about how do the campuses look across in the curriculum for now, and just in phase one. East Bay is the one with 0 because they had the opportunity to start from scratch. And they were really able to start from scratch and develop their program from the ground level up. So they had already anticipated that they would fill all these areas of the curriculum. So I'll stop there so it could be a conversation with all of you. Thank you for bearing through all that. I know we don't have much time, so it's till 1:30. So if anybody needs to leave, feel free. The session again is recorded. And I encourage you all to jump in at any time. Oh, Raymond was able to join us. Hi, Raymond.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for my tardiness, but I'm glad to have you all in this community of practice. I know that we touched base briefly a year ago. I'm so glad that we have Dr. Carhart here to support us in our work and our efforts. Again, I think what's really key for us in terms of these convenings and these collaboratives is for us to share what has been working and where we need additional support. Because as of right now, a lot of us are in a lot of different places. And it'll be really helpful for us to really have a broader understanding of not only where we can support from the systems office, but also where we can get that support from you from another campus that might be more ahead than others or have other resources that your campuses don't have. But again, I want to thank you all for really taking the time to be on part of this project. It's a really crucial project. As Jen has stated, there's a deep workforce needs for this. So this is really essential for us to see how we can be proactive in developing this new profession, but also thinking about ways that we can innovate so we can support our program moving forward. So thank you guys again. I really appreciate you guys taking the time.
We can discuss about phase one, or we can discuss all the information I just dumped on you all. So I'm happy to, again, this is a community of practice for all of you, and this is our learning space as well.
Well, if I can jump in, I can tell you what we're doing at Fresno State is that we've already initiated this, and we had our first training session for the twos, and it was well received. We had about 10 students that voluntarily showed up, and what I've also done is I'm a field instructor, and so and a liaison. So I've invited my students that are in the field to sign up as CWC 2s and to start collecting those hours along with the field hours that they're getting. And so you know, it's starting off, and I'm really excited about it. You know, this agency that I work with, we have some interns there, and we have students that are very, very much in need of the support. And you know, they're coming out of CYA, they're coming out of juvenile hall, they're coming, you know, they're coming back for their high school diplomas, and they're coming back for job training, and so they're in a really nice spot. But as we all know, life happens to them, and so, you know, I've had the interns there working with them, being available to them. So this way we can start helping them to work on some of those life issues. And if we identify mental health issues, referring them to mental health services.
Thank you. Absolutely. So what I'm hearing too is that it's important to think of how we're supporting the students as they're navigating their own mental health too.
Yeah, well, these are students that are some of them are PPS, and so the agency is a charter school, so they get the support from the school staff, and then I work with them on engaging students from the mental health perspective, the supportive perspective. We have I have the students every year develop a wellness center to where students can come in and get support, and then we do didactic groups with them on funding, money, budgeting, relationships, and we talk about alcohol and drug issues and those types of things.
Amazing. Thank you. Anybody else, strategies that have helped so far and in the early stages of your implementation of your campus? Any barriers that you have encountered so far in the beginning? Go ahead, Sonia.
So I'm from San Jose State. In terms of what strategies helped, I think teamwork was essential between the director of the school and the BASW program coordinator. We had all our faculty, the undergraduate teaching faculty, come together and do a curriculum map, and that's how we mapped out what we think we do well, but areas that need a little bit, either need full development or additional development. And the only full development was the trauma-informed piece, because it was too loosely done in, as what we felt. We've now have about 8 students who are either in the schools or ones in a nonprofit that works with the schools who are committed to doing the CWC training. So we have created a form based on the CWC competencies that was put out on the website for the field instructors to complete, so that the students will have access to documentation of their hours and their competencies and what they did at the end of it. We also spent a fair bit of time on this in the summer, creating these electronic asynchronous teaching modules that cover the gaps in our curriculum. And this year, because they were already seniors, we couldn't incorporate that into the curriculum. The students have been assigned these to do them on their own, and they meet once a month in a seminar to discuss these. But the goal is to eventually move these modules back out into the regular curriculum, so all of our students will have access to that information. Our challenge, I'm sure you've heard this before, has been the shifting guidance that we hear about in terms of supervision and who is eligible for supervising our students. So we took the conservative approach and went by HCAI's original guidance to us that said you need a PPSC or LCSW, and that really narrowed the pool of possible placements. And also, as you know, most of our undergraduate social work schools have MSW as the requirement for supervision, not LCSW and PPSC. So I'm hoping that this will get clarified soon enough, because we're already recruiting students for next year. They will be going into the field fair to select their placements, and we're really unclear about what guidance to give them in terms of what to look for. So I think that to us is a matter of some urgency, because time flies quickly, and the field fair is going to be January. Faculty are already going out into the classrooms to inform students about what to expect. So I feel like this for us has been a barrier to getting the word out, to getting work done. And if nothing else, this one really needs clarity.
Jennifer, can I speak to that? In regards to who needs to supervise, when that piece, if they're clinical PPS, is really comes when they're actually working. when they're actually working as a certified wellness coach. So during their practicum hours, it could be one of those individuals, or it could be what they call as other qualified personnel who are trained. So it's just someone who understands the role, understands the competencies. It does not need to be a licensed clinical professional or PPS credentialed person, not while they're in training, not while they're in school and they're collecting their practicum hours. It just has to be post for them to provide those billable services. I hope that clarifies things. I can actually put the language in the chat for
Yeah,
you all.
I think that helps, but I think what also there questions that have been brought up for that is that post is also there's a shortage of
Right.
those practitioners. So that makes it a big barrier for students to we can't track them after post,
No, I know.
right?
So,
So
that's kind of,
post and
when
there's
you're
already a
getting
shortage.
your licensing hours, right, as an associate, that's up to the individual to make sure that they have proper supervision. I don't know what HCAI is doing beyond once they've received their certification. And I know, Chris, I don't know if you have any other information. I can just speak to what's happening at the undergraduate level, at least while they're collecting their practicum hours. So hopefully it's not such a barrier when they're being matched for their practicum placements. I have another curiosity, if it's okay to ask Jennifer, about what the students, what do they understand about the wellness coach? And
Yeah, so we'll go through the phases. That way it allows us to see
oh,
how,
okay,
yeah.
great.
So okay, so right now we were in phase one, the implementation, and now the phase two is more of the curriculum, more the infrastructure of who are those, um, how are we mapping that out? Where are the students receiving that? Really planning for the supervision models, really deciding who will serve as supervisors, how many hours are needed, what qualifies as an appropriate site, really anticipating even the faculty load or staffing needs. This can also be a phase that is more of the longest part because it requires a lot of partnerships with your own departments, faculty, having these meetings. Implementation of the curriculum it takes time. Posting it on a catalog takes a year out. You have to have that ahead of time. But that also comes to phase three, which is really where the students already kind of the implementation phase. We already posted it on the catalog. We're establishing more of these advising tools, more of these outreach strategies where we can recruit and how we can better partner with our sites and really think of how what are the things that the students need for them to know what certified wellness coach is. And I think that that's the main portion of there's some areas of concern or not clarity of understanding the workforce that's anticipated with certified wellness coach. And being from our campuses, we already know that a lot of this can bottleneck the profession or can bottleneck the after, especially supervision models that have already been in place for our programs. All of our campuses have to go through MOUs. All of our campuses have to have these structures and set in order for us to get those sites approved. We have typically there's a placement coordinator or a faculty that oversees that. So we can further expand on how is that. There's two things. How are you kind of working through that implementation phase of the student facing information and then the employer facing information that you're kind of structuring for yourself, for your campus?
I'm at San Diego State and we're very, very new to this process. So we just started this semester on planning for this program. And just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, Dr. Carhart, about the information that students are receiving, I think a question that comes up from our students and even our the faculty is what is the difference between like the jobs that the students are going for? How is it different? Can't they get those jobs with the bachelor's in social work? And what is the need for the certification? So I think we're trying to figure that out. And if anyone can help us relay that message before we actually start, the planning, the recruitment and all of that, that would be really helpful.
And I can see where that's the challenge because BSWs are the most aligned for
Mhm.
this certification, right?
Mhm.
So I can see where the students will have those questions like, why would I need to then, you're telling me that I'm pursuing this pathway and this time here until I graduate, I have to do X number of hours. But then I still have to follow up and maintain these hours, but I already finished my bachelor's. Like, what's the incentive or what's the purpose? When I already have my bachelor's, right?
Mhm.
Like,
I can.
I can technically do what I do without it.
Mhm.
I can jump in here really quick. So I don't know. So basically, the Wellness Coach 1 and 2 has become part of the Medi-Cal payer fee schedule, as well as with private insurances that just passed. So the incentive, I think, for the employers as far as hiring someone who has that certification is they can now bill for those services, because generally speaking, you're billing for clinical services at a licensed professional level, but now there's opportunity to bill for the Wellness Coach 1 and 2. So I think that's part of the incentive, and it may, you know, schools and other places that are going to start and have started already implementing that billable service. That's the incentive. And it may give them more a leg up on getting the position because they really want somebody to bill for services, because we all know most of these positions can be grant funded. And so now that also helps the employers get reimbursed for services rather than relying on unsustainable funding, such as grants.
Irene, are you able to point us to, like, if we're talking to potential internship sites, employers that have questions about that, are you able to provide us with some information that we could point them towards?
Yes, absolutely. And actually, I know that HCAI is also developing resources around that. But I can certainly send resources to Jennifer that she can share with you all, so you can just at least get some basic information. And so that'll be also helpful for you all to inform yourselves as you're talking to your employers.
Yeah, I think I'm at CSUSM at San Marcos, and have been doing a lot of outreach to potential fieldwork sites, fieldwork placements for our program, since we don't have those built in yet, since we're in the Department of Human Development. And so that's a question that's come up a lot. So I think that would be really helpful. I think yeah, sorry, Jennifer, I didn't get your exact question, but I think one question that I have going forward that I would love to talk with other campuses about is how best practices for internship fieldwork placements. I think that that's something that I'm really hoping to learn from our partners that are doing this work as well.
And I think I heard from a few of you the key things of you all kind of understanding of the partners that you already have, and then understanding what the employer is expected, or how to also encourage those sites to bring in those students. I feel like I heard that from Maria, Michelle, and I think San Diego also, Jennifer. I think you shared similar things. Yeah. we all can share a little bit more to Sabrina. And I think,
Um,
Jennifer, I think you're partnering with the community colleges too, right?
That's been a discussion right now is we met with Southwestern College, which is a local community college in the southern region of our county. And they are in the planning process for the CWC1. And we're trying to figure out if there's maybe like a pathway that we could potentially create between that community college into our program, or some kind of like warm handoff or something with those students who are admitted into San Diego State and into our program, and then they can continue with their certification and even get the CWC too. So we just met with them. We're in discussion. So it's very new. I mean, all of this is so new to us. So I know some of the other universities are farther ahead of us and already implementing the program, but we're definitely brand new. So I'm just soaking in all the information and advice that anybody is offering.
And Jen, I think you also mentioned how I think you guys had overlapping sites too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some overlapping sites between, or there might be a potential of some overlapping sites between some of the students that were placed in as a CW, as a level 1, and then some of our students. So we're going to explore that a little bit further. Yeah.
The other thing that I was going to say around placements is, Jennifer, I don't know if you've received a list of all the employers that receive employer grants for the wellness coaches, because that might be another point of
Yeah.
access, or to connect with your local. Most of them are all county offices of eds and
Yeah.
or school districts. I think a SpearNet is also in there. Just the employers that are now hiring these wellness coaches to check in with them about potential practicum sites. The other piece, Jennifer, I did work with Southwest, so the community colleges are the folks that I worked with extensively, and so now I'm on this area. But I know all the community colleges have some type of wellness centers at their campuses, and even wellness centers on your campuses that you could use as practicum sites for your students, like being creative about, where the students can get more hours, I think is also something to think about. But I know that's something that the community colleges are also thinking about, like how can they also use their own wellness centers as other opportunities to, to get those field placement hours, just thinking about like the Tay youth, right?
Yeah.
Because I know you're not working with children, but you work with Tay youth, and that would be the concentrated population that that the students could be um, getting more practice in the field. But Jennifer, I can also get you that list of the employers,
We do
yeah.
have the list of employers, but I've requested from Ben to also have the direct point of contacts.
Oh, perfect. Well, if you've already requested from Ben, I can just give him a gentle nudge about it, because that's what you really need, is the direct point of contacts.
That'd be great.
And I'll put it on the chat.
Could I ask for a clarification on this issue? So we were approached by Santa Clara County Board of, or the Department of Education. They had some funds for CWC that they wanted as scholarships. And so there's an HCAI scholarship and a Santa Clara County HCAI scholarship. And the requirements are different in terms of the work obligation and the location of the, obviously Santa Clara County wants it done in Santa Clara County, which makes sense. But there also was like some question about a 2-year commitment versus a 1-year payback. And I'm just wondering if they're all the same, or they just depends on what the county decides they want.
For the HCAI scholarships in particular, the wellness coach one, if I remember correctly, it's a 1-year service commitment. Then I also had a behavioral health scholarship, which again, I also believe is a 1-year commitment. But the one from Santa Clara is whatever they dictate. I don't know if they receive an employer grant or what specific grant they're working off of, but I would imagine their requirements are probably specific to Santa Clara. But the ones and I can share with you some links for the HCAI website so you can see in the guides. It's very specific. The students that I'm working with who receive those grants at the community colleges, and just helping them really understand what they're getting themselves into before they accept the money and the obligation, and where they can work as well. So I don't think there'd probably be problems with BSW students understanding that, but just making sure that they understand, because it's literally funding that they're going to get that they don't have to pay back. They just have to make sure that they're working in that community with children and youth during that 1-year service obligation.
And are the counties helping the students find these post graduation jobs, placements, like within the county? Because that was a big question our students have. Like, they're afraid to ask for scholarships to make this work commitment if work is not guaranteed. Then it's like, that led to a whole other can of worms.
Right.
So I'm not, yeah.
I don't think that that I know, because I don't work specifically with the counties. I know that at the community colleges, we have our behavioral health workforce program, so we're really working closely with the students. Some of them already have work placements, and just helping them kind of, bridge that gap if they don't already have an employment. So kind of looking at, as they're doing their practicum, looking at that career development or potential job openings before they graduate. You're right, that is would make me a little nervous too. But I think just helping them, just as you might as an institution help them, with here's the job fairs that you all do and that sort of thing. But I guess it is a leap of faith and commitment they will have to. I think there's some grace period around finding the job, and I think there's also some requests for what's the word? Just kind of put it on pause until they find employment. So I know there's a lot of leeway around there, and there will be more scholarships to come for behavioral health students or students that are interested in the career, which is very exciting because you all know there was no scholarships for us to go to school, right? So this is a very exciting opportunity, and although I know there's some apprehension about some of that, but hopefully that won't deter students from taking the scholarship funding.
Related to the scholarship funding, do you know if there will be some strategies to better communicate to educational institutions when students are accepting the scholarships? Because we're finding this gap in terms of students who are receiving the Wellness Coach Scholarship and our responsibility to support them, but not knowing which students or students receiving it who hadn't planned qualifying placements. There just seems to be like an information loop that would be lovely to close.
I don't know, I think Chris could probably speak better to this. I know just my personal experience with the students that we're asking, we're just like, hey, we know, because we help them apply, or did you get this, or did you get your verification form in? And but I know that's not feasible. And it's even hard for us with the small student population, but maybe Chris could speak to this better.
Yeah, I think I definitely would like I definitely want to, I think that's a very important call out. I'd like to work with my grants team and get back with you on that, to see what it is they can do to help facilitate giving notifications.
I'm even thinking about something simple like the verification form that needs to go to the registrar should also be copied to like their degree granting program that qualifies or something like that. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Yvonne, for bringing that up. I was also going to say with the verification form, even if it was just directed to the departments instead of the registrar, that's the only way we have to keep track or know who those students are to be able to support them in the process. I think that would be really helpful. And then I also had a question. I know I put it up above. I'm not sure who the right person is, but I get a lot of questions for students specifically interested in going from a bachelor's to a master's and that service obligation. And I know that the wellness coach certification is more for increasing the workforce with bachelor's level right workers. So I'm able to communicate that, but still there is this thing. So I'm not sure like what because I've heard different things throughout, the last couple of years, I guess, as far as where are we now with that, if someone can speak to that, because I know that I think students have a year before they have to secure a wellness coach position when they graduate with a bachelor's, right? If they're going to go into a master's degree, my understanding is that it would have to be a paid position as a wellness coach certified person, and then they can double dip and use that as an employment-based internship in their master's. Does that make sense? So that they're in a position and then they use that position as their employment-based internship in their master's, but they're still fulfilling that, or they have to make sure they meet that 1 year requirement, that deadline. I guess those are the only two scenarios I'm thinking. I don't know if other folks are dealing with this. I'm just curious what the update is on that.
I'm gonna talk with Ben, and I am gonna get this question addressed for you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. That's the time period. So up to 1 year to find a position, to find employment. So hopefully that's enough leeway time for folks not to be worried about taking the scholarship.
Well, I think I draw back to the workforce, right? Like that's not existing in many of our regions. So that's a big leap of faith for our students to bet on and commit to receiving that scholarship, and then they're not being. We already know it's not. The workforce is not there right now. This is why this is a branch of it. We can't create jobs. And I don't know if HCAI is anticipating to further develop more of these options for employers to expand. We don't have enough sites to even place our students in some instances, just during the time that they're pursuing their bachelor's, let alone having them to have a leap of faith and hopefully that they find a job within a year, knowing that there's already quite a shortage of that in our areas. That's quite a big leap. I don't know how I feel like I'm selling something that I don't even feel confident or ethically confident to sell to the students either.
I think there was a lot of hesitation with the fee schedule. Everyone thought it was going to go through, and it kept getting pushed back. And the federal government had a certain date they had to respond by, and they responded by the date before. I think the fee schedule being now active, I'm hoping alleviates some of that, where the schools know that they can submit for reimbursement for these individuals. So I'm hoping, and the fee schedule was just approved at the end of June. So I'm hoping that this alleviates some of that moving forward. Time will tell, but I completely understand.
And I think that also places a burden on us as their institutions, the education institutions, that we will have to educate our community partners as well. That's another leap of faith, that we have the time to also share with our CBOs, or that they have that option. It's, I think that's an assumption, a big assumption, very presumptuous, that does leave the burden on us, because we're also training the potential workforce that is out there and hoping to have a workforce to enter. Is a big burden, and I think that's where HCAI also has a lot more resources that could be beneficial for us as education institutions. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Yvonne. Oh, shit, they logged off. Yes, exactly. And that's also thinking of our future and when we enter into phase 4 and 5, further expanding on what the sustainability of this looks like. And making sure that we're not bottlenecking our programs or compacting our programs. We already have many programs that we have many students. We do have students. But you know, we also want to provide, give integrity to the profession, and also a clear pathway to the students that they know what they're entering and that they have options of further expanding if they do want to pursue being their own licensed practitioner and developing their own clinical site. What does that look like for them? But I feel at this moment there's a lot of hope, which is not a bad thing, but I feel like we're just aiming to throw spaghetti and I hope that it sticks.
Hi, this is Hannah from Cal State Dominguez Hills. Just a follow-up question. Students have been asking if there will be a scholarship that's going to be released soon, and when they should look out for that to prepare for the application.
There is going to be another scholarship cycle. I will have to get the exact dates for you.
Thank you. So will it be this year or will it be next year?
I believe it's next year.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sorry, as a follow-up, so is it the typical winter-ish date, like in January when it opens? January, February? Is
I
that
want to say it's February, but I'm confirming.
Yeah, I
okay?
think it was February last year, right? The beginning of spring semester.
I believe so.
Yeah, I understand it's tentative. I just wanted to get an idea as well. Thank you.
So is there flexibility? I've heard that in this first phase, the folks who received funding in the community were mostly school-based, which makes sense. Is there any flexibility for the service obligation around just having, applying for the certification and working with children and youth up to 24 years old if it's not in a school? Is there flexibility with that service obligation?
I just put the link to one of the chats or to one of the guides, and I believe they're the same across the way. So it talks about children's hospitals, CBOs, correctional facilities, county operated health facilities, county operated behavioral health. So there's a big list, health profession shortages, native healthcare centers. So they've really expanded that list. I think that the biggest thing is to make sure that they're working through the TAY youth, but they've really expanded the list of where they can complete that service obligation.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that. I was curious about because only the folks like the school-based programs right now have received funding to create positions, actual positions.
Right.
That's what I was
Right.
wondering about. But it still sounds like as long as they're working with children and youth in behavioral health capacity, that still counts, even though it's not an official wellness coach position, right? Okay, great. Thanks.
Exactly.
Yeah, great.
Exactly. So I know that was what they had put out before, and that was a concern for, on the other side of things, but they've now since expanded that, and it doesn't have to actually be a certified rule. They just need to be working with that within those parameters. Hopefully that helps.
So on that note, could you clarify this R, the registered CWC process, because that came as a later development. I'm not sure if there's clearer guidance on the website, because this is going to be important for us to tell our students in terms of what to do once they graduate, is that, they need to do whatever it takes to register with the state. And then what happens for those remaining 500 or 400 hours? Do those have to be supervised by the PPSC, LCSW, or now if you're talking about any position with children and youth, will it be, that's sort of really unclear at this point. So I think it would be helpful that when we're trying to recruit and sell this idea that this is worth pursuing, that people have as much information before they commit.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the first part of your question again?
So, there was there was some discussion about the registered CWC.
Okay, yes.
Which is very kind of fuzzy right now.
Chris, I don't know if you can help me out with this, but I know that, okay, so once they're actually employed, that's where the supervision happens, right? At that more, where they're working under a PPS credential person, LCSW, psychologist, that's where that happens post-graduation. The recertification just happened. Well, let me step back a quick second. So if a student hasn't completed their full hours, they become registered, much like an associate's, right? So that's the registration. Once they've completed the hours, then they become fully certified. So that's one piece. But the recertification, Chris, I'll let you speak to that because I don't fully have that down yet, but I know that's just been rolled out.
So I've been taking a lot of notes. Recertification was in Ben's wheelhouse.
Okay.
So I am going back. I'm making notes to myself to go back, and I'm going to get the answer for you for that.
Great. So I can just tell you what I know. I know it's like every 2 years, much like, so, and some of this, I think actually what's just really great is that a lot of what HCAI in this role has been modeled around, kind of processes that we're already they're going to be used to once they get into graduate school, once they're, have their associates and they're finishing. So, collecting hours, all these sorts of things, having their supervision signed off. So my understanding, at least, again, don't quote me, because Chris will have the full quotable, but I believe it's every 2 years. They will have the same continuing education courses and units that they need to complete during those 2 years, much like we do as if you're licensed. And they have, I believe they're working with different schools and different areas just to become CE approved. And so I know that's all in the works. So my understanding is it will be modeled after, kind of the licensure component and maintaining your license.
But it sounds like if they've only got 300 hours from the School of Social Work as their internship, the next 500 have to be PPSC, LCSW supervised. Is that right?
That's my understanding, is they'll complete their time during their work. So if they're working in a school or an after school program, they'll have to, find somebody within their employer to help do that supervision. I know when I was doing my supervision, there was not somebody specifically working. I worked for public health. So there wasn't a whole lot of public health folks, but I was able to find somebody who worked at our inpatient psychiatric facility, which was right across the street from public health, to help do my clinical supervision.
And so, but I think you mentioned even a psychologist. So anybody who's licensed that gets supervised, right? A licensed supervisor. Okay.
So more than likely, again, I know not all school districts have LCSWs or MFTs. I think that's growing for sure, but I know that wasn't always the case. So it may be, a psychologist that's there that works, part of the school district, or hopefully maybe the school psychologist and not having 5 different schools that they're responsible for. But yes.
I have a question for students. We have a few students who are returning from the field, so they qualify for certification under the workforce pathway. So a question was, should they just apply now and receive I think it's the Wellness Coach 1 designation, or do they just go ahead and apply for 2, and then once they get their bachelor's, they get the 2 recognition? I hope that question makes sense, because yesterday I met with a student and he's like, well, why can't I just do, get certified as 1 now? I already have these hours. I'm only missing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And actually, I would encourage them to do so because that's kind of, I don't know if you remember, because it's probably been a while. I know at least a year. On the form, there was, or maybe it wasn't on the old form because I didn't have knowledge of the old form that you all filled out, but on the new form, there is a portion that says about how will you track or know if a student has completed the Wellness Coach 1, because we're looking at like the whole competencies. It's not just specific, because we want to make sure that they're all coming with, a certain level of skill set, a certain level of theory. So I would encourage if somebody's eligible for the 1 to go for it, and that may help in their current employment to be available to provide billable services. So if they're eligible, I would just encourage them to do it now. And then when they finish with their bachelor's, then they get the level 2.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm. And actually, there's also the education pathway too. So if they have an associate's degree, they can also apply as long as they have those, I think it's 400 hours as well.
Awesome. All right, everyone, we're at the top 5 minutes of our session today. I do want to say, everyone's at a different stage of the implementation or the phases. Overall, it's really the needs assessment to see how I can better support you, or HCAI can better support all of us, or have clarity. My goal is to, and conversations with Ben, is also developing subcommittees that are targeted in specific areas of all of this information that we discussed today. So I appreciate all of you as you're navigating all of this. Feel free to touch base with me or anything that you need. I did activate the SharePoint on many of you. I don't know if you get an alert of some sort that you've been added, but I'll send you all the SharePoint where I'll be adding files and links and all of that for all of you to have one place to add all that, see all that information that HCAI has shared. I feel that there's also a lot of documents that HCAI creates with an intention of program-facing information for you all, and some that may be student-facing and some is employer-facing. So trying to really think of how those are structured. Links are everywhere. I appreciate all of you that forwarded me emails of attached forms that you have come across, or any of that information. So it allows me to see what's out there as well. Again, there is a listserv, so I encourage you all to utilize the listserv and share it. This is a community for all of you. You can utilize, that's like the what you put on the CSU Wellness Coach at list.calstate.edu. You put it on the outbox, and then that will shoot to all of us, to all of us in the listserv. And then the communities of practice will be scheduled once a month for just 3 months, 6 months, 3 months for this year, 3 months for next year, typically on Thursdays from 12 to 1:30. And I have the working sessions are optional, they're not required. Those are kind of like office hours for us to kind of navigate or be brainstorming with other campuses. I am going to shorten the time. I know I have them from 9 to 11, but I'm going to shorten it to 9 to 10, utilizing that extra hour to see if any other campuses would like to meet during that time frame as well. But I appreciate many of you that are able to join or setting some time to meet with me. Maria, I got your email. I'll send you an email about setting up a time to meet. Again, I'll put this all in an email, but if you all can take a moment to also, you don't have to respond immediately. It's a quick survey, share your thoughts, even if it's, you brainstorming on those phases where I can further support you, each campus as you're implementing. And also I want to emphasize you're all experts in your fields and our field. There seems to be a lot of structuring of the certified wellness model that needs to further think of the other professions that can serve our communities and students, and all the other pathways and options that our students can have or benefit from. And you are the expert in your community and your institution. So you know your students best, and how do you better serve the students as well. What else do I have? I think that's it. But I will share with you all when the SharePoint's a little bit more cleaner in their drive, there should be a folder where you all will be able to access. I hope to also embed all of the contact information for each campus all in there. It'll be our website for where we can see that. A couple of key points that I highlighted during our conversation to further ask HCAI is requested for the point of contact for all the awardees, for the employers that have received were recipients, the direct point of contacts, the information on the rollout of the scholarship, and the expectations of that needs to be further cleared. And then further support with the employer interactions, or the sites are partnering. How do we further have support from HCAI as well for, so it leaves the burden on, doesn't leave the burden on us as we're also trying to navigate to recruit students. It doesn't mean that we also have the opportunity to develop these partnerships or train the employers. Is there other points that you feel that wouldn't be necessary to highlight? And I feel the registered, yeah. Thanks, Michelle. Alrighty, and Chris, I think you made a few points, right?
Did and what I was going to do is I am going to post the email address. So please don't, if you have questions, we want to make sure that we get these addressed as soon as possible. I kind of like to say I have the 30,000 foot view, but we have the policy analysts that have all the answers to your questions. So please utilize that email box. We just have an internal timeline. We want to make sure we get back with you in a couple days. So please don't wait till the next meeting. If there are questions, please let us know, and we're happy to assist.
I have one last question. The links that you put in the chat, will the chat be available to us with the recording, Jennifer?
Yeah, yes. And I'll make sure that we also save these on the SharePoint, and that way you have a place to have them. Yeah, and I'll follow up with an email. Yeah, I appreciate all of you for the time. Thank you so much. I'll see you all if you have a chance to the working session next week. Please take care of yourselves, and truly appreciate this time with all of you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you all. Take care.